Yeah, okay, we are ready. Okay, so first of all, I want to welcome everybody to our Wednesday morning training power hour. That what do we call it, Sarah?
Yes,
The
yes, that
power
is
hour.
exactly what it's called. And hold on, I can give you some help here. Give me just a second. There you go.
So how this came about basically was last week, Sarah and I were in a conversation and we were just talking about social media, about a whole bunch of different things. And and also just about branding yourself, right? And just learning like and getting to know your own self and trying to figure out how to incorporate that into, social media just to kind of put things out there. And so we decided because we were having such a good conversation about it, we thought, you know what, we should probably do a training on this and just allow people to come in. And so I want this Wednesday morning Zoom, weekly Zoom, to be really casual. Like I don't want anybody feeling, whatever. I just want them to bring their pens and paper. The partnership power hour is actually going to be 45 minutes. And so it's all about branding you. And of course, now the dog's going to start barking, right? Because that's what he does. Just one sec. I told my daughter, I'm like, every time I get on a Zoom, the dog starts barking. So I don't know. It's kind of like when you have kids. So we're gonna speak about brand or talk about branding you with purpose, alignment, and authenticity. So that's really all we're going to do for today, and we're just going to ask some questions and just get our minds in because when I listen, the IPAs are getting so good right now, and when I listened to the IPA this morning, everything just comes to me. It's like people. It's all about showing the plan. Like that is our goal here: exposure, showing what people what we're doing. And I think the biggest thing is we need to like the posture of what we of like we need to hold that posture because in our posture if we know why we're here, if we really truly know why we're here and where and have a vision for ourselves, our family, and be able to lead, lead other people into our vision. I think that's what it's all about. And I think that having that posture, with posture comes conviction. And everything I've ever learned in the last 20 years of me being in this industry is, for myself, I have posture when I call people for the most part. I get nervous too. I get where I have people that use whatever you say on your chicken list or whatever, but it's if I believe in what I have, if I believe in where I'm going, it makes it a lot easier. If I know why I'm here, it makes it a lot easier to help others believe in what you're doing, right? So anyways, we got Sharon coming in here. So
And Carmen, you said that perfect because I want to start it off. I know this is your call. It's actually our call, technically.
our call.
Yeah. But we want you to showcase who you are. We want the authentic you. We don't want you to be somebody. And we get caught up in comparing ourselves quite a bit, not only in this industry, but women, we compare ourselves to each other. And that's one thing that we have to remember that we cannot do. We have to be genuine to who we are, and um, that's all we can be, right? And that's something that we're going to uncover today is we're going to talk about who you already are and how you can use who you are to exploit your business. Um, One thing that someone always told me, and I've heard this, most of you know, I'm Dr. Sarah Weaver. I'm a meteorologist. I'm very new to multi-level marketing, but it has not stopped me. I have 26 years of schooling, and one thing that I have learned throughout all those 26 years of schooling is the world does not need another copy of you. I've been told many things under the sun, including that I needed to change my voice and who I was to fit the corporate standard. And I was like, screw that. I am not about to. Although I will say I did end up losing a little bit of my southern, actually most of my southern accent, but it was unintentional. In the beginning, it was intentional, but that's something that I have to remind myself. And Carmen, I don't know about you, I have to remind myself daily. It's okay to be human and it's okay to be myself. I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but as long as I am who I am, everything else is just going to fall into place.
I absolutely love that, Sarah. I don't think I'm most people's cup of tea for the most part, but But you know what? One of the things I know and I love about you, Sarah, is that you are always authentic. You're always who you are. And actually, when we get tripped up by trying to become somebody else, that it paralyzes us in movement, right? In this business, because we're like, oh, I can't be like that person, or I'm not quite like that. I don't have that verbiage. Well, I think about that kind of stuff a lot myself. And it's like I can't even last week when I had to do that corporate overview thing, I don't think I've been that nervous in so long, because you know what, I was worried about everybody else, what I should be saying on the slide, what I shouldn't be saying on the slide. It was like, holy crow, Carmen, just be yourself. I know this industry, I know this company, but when we start to try to say things about it or talk about it on other people's perspectives rather than our own, that's when things get a little you know it makes you, it just paralyzes you. That's what I feel. So I feel like, so here's our first slide. So welcome and set the atmosphere. Okay, well, I think that was Chat GPT telling us to set the atmosphere. Today is not about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering who you already are. The world does not need another copy. It needs the authentic version of you, which is what Sarah just explained. So that's what we're here to do. Um, Bringing our pens, our goals, our names list, open heart, willingness to go deeper. And I think that's what we're going to be focusing on every Wednesday morning. So, who are you really? So, here are just some really great questions to ask yourself. And I want us to all ask ourselves these questions. Who are we? Who am I when nobody is watching? What makes me come alive? Like, what excites me? What gets me out of bed in the morning? I had a couple conversations last week with a few people on my team, and I really truly wanted to know, like, Marlene, you're on here. Like, I asked Marlene, what gets her out of bed in the morning? Like, what does she feel like when she wakes up? Like, what excites her for the day? And I think that's what, because I know sometimes for me, it depends on where I'm at and going through some of my personal stuff. I'm like, I want to wake up and I want to know what excites me. I want to know what I'm heading into for the day, that gets me excited to be here. And I think for myself, it's really is helping other people, like, helping myself, but helping other people. That really fires me up. When I see somebody else win, I get so excited. It's like, if they can do it, so can I. But I want to know what it is about, like, the details of that. What makes you smile deeply? What makes you laugh? What also breaks your heart? What makes you sad? What is it, like, what is it about you, like, that happens in your life that makes you sad? What conversations light you up? I mean, these are things that I think are just so important. What do people come to you for? So that's a really big question. What, because everybody has an influence over their personal, like, the people in their lives. Think about what people come to you for. What kind of, like, the strengths that you have. We want to focus on your strengths as a person. And I think that's really where we're at here. So your purpose is often hidden in your pain, your passion, your perseverance, and your personality. Sarah, do you want to add something?
I do. One thing to think about is, and you might have to dig deep, but one thing that was always told to me was if your why doesn't make you cry, you need to reevaluate it. One
Yeah.
of the things you mentioned was what makes you get out of bed? I get out of bed because I always want to be a blessing to every single person I come in contact with, whether it's you all, whether it's Todd, who I work for, whether it's PartnerCo, who I'm part of, whether it's my husband. Um, that's what gets me out of bed. And Carmen, I feel like you and I should go through these to kind of give an example for those who are watching or will watch on YouTube. If you're okay with walking through all of these together and diving deeper into who we really are you okay with that?
I sure am.
Okay. So I will say, who am I when nobody is watching? I am crazy. And I'm not like, oh my goodness, Sarah's absolutely crazy. She needs to be in an insane asylum. No, I'm not that crazy. When I say crazy, I like to dance. When I eat a bite of food, I do a little happy dance, because it's like, oh, this is great. I'm feeding my body what it needs. I'm just me. I mostly am bubbly. Carmen, you're bubbly too.
Yeah.
Most days, most days.
Most days, yeah. I am, who am I when nobody is watching? I'm usually, I'm a deep thinker, that's for sure. I'm thinking all the time. I mean, I know some people might laugh at that, but it's true. Like I'm in something. Sue, I can see you smiling right now. But I know like I'm always thinking about how I can better myself, how I can be, I'm about getting healing and being whole. And so a lot of the things I'm just letting my mom in. My mom's here. Um, I think that for me, it's like, who am I when no one's looking? I really spend a lot of time with God. And I do like, I really want to be in, like, I like to be in prayer. I like to be in gratitude. And one of the things for me, when I go hiking, right now it's been me going to the gym, going on a treadmill because there's nowhere, well, there's probably places to hike where I'm at here, but I feel like it's like like honoring myself. I think when I honor myself, I feel better about myself. And I think that's kind of like, so for me, it's like, I know that we can get our heads can, we get so many things in our heads. So who are we when nobody's watching? What kind of things are we putting in our heads? What kind of things are we surrounding ourselves with? Right. Like to me, it's like we can go into the negative or we can go stay into the positive. And so for me, I really try to focus on what I'm putting into my mind. And I love my books. I love listening to really good podcasts like about personal development. I think it's really, really key.
And something you mentioned there, and I'm gonna jump a little bit, is the positivity. And I'm gonna go to what conversations light you up. I I try to stick to all positive conversations. And we do have some negative conversations that come in. We all do. They're going to come into our lives at various points of the day. It's it's how you handle that situation that is a key factor. Are you going to let the negativity control you and your mindset, or are you going to try to make it a positive instead of a negative? And that's something that, going alongside what you said, Carmen, I have a sun tattoo on my wrist, and it's for various reasons. One, because I am a meteorologist and I like the nerdiness of, the sun. But it's more than that. I can't be positive if it weren't for the sun, the one and only sun, right? And so that's something I try to do every single day, is to make things, whether how negative it is, I try to always make it a positive. And one thing that I also tell myself, and I've told my boss this too, is if this is the worst thing that's happening, then we're going to be okay. And try telling yourself that whenever you're in a negative situation or you have a negative conversation come to you. If this is the worst thing happening, then we're going to be okay.
Mhm.
Carmen, you want to add anything to any of those?
Yeah, I really like that. And it really is about our attitude in it. Like, that's why, as soon as we go into gratitude or into us like that thanking, like it's always about, it's not happening to us, it's happening for us. And if we keep that mindset, no matter how tough it gets, if we recognize that everything is happening for us, what am I here to learn? That really changes the mindset, and I mean, again, and also, like, one of the biggest things is, like, there's only two things, black and white. We can only speak life over ourselves, or we can speak death. We can only speak life over others, or we can only speak death. There's no gray area. And I'm like, I mean, when I'm speaking about this, let me tell you, like, I'm speaking to the choir right here. It's like we have got to really watch our tongues because, hey, Barry, are you able to hop on for 1 second and talk? Because I want to just, I really, because Barry, like, I mean, when he come on the Zoom this morning, I'm watching, I already see growth in Barry, like what's happening. Because why? He, first of all, he shows up to do almost everything. He's plugged into, he's working on himself, and he's building his belief in the company. He shows up to events, he goes to these things. And I notice, like, he's getting his whole his belief and his posture are starting to adjust, because what happens when we join these businesses, we join for us, we see somebody else's vision, we see somebody else's verbiage, and we align with that, right? But also when that business gets into us and we start to have that belief within ourselves, and we start to believe in ourselves that we can actually do this. Barry, would you just share, like, because I'm just seeing, like, even just the way you and I communicate, I'm pretty blunt with you, right? I'm like, hey, we don't talk like that. You already got this. Like, you're a winner. Like, tell me about that.
Well, it's funny. Sarah's the nice one, and Carmen and Todd, but they're the one. Stop being so anal about being too organized, and let's just do it. So but yeah, I think a lot of it. I am kind of always wanting everything to be right, and just because of my background, I guess with my events that I do. But I think once you get to know, I loved your comment last week. I told you about that, Carmen. It's like and I used it to someone yesterday, is that once the business gets in you, then you'll get into business, and then you'll start rocking and rolling. But now it's like every time I think of someone, I write their name down. Like I had a guy, he's on my Facebook. He's a former NFL player. Never met him, never talked to him, but it was his birthday, and then he just sent a couple messages back, and I'm like, oh, and he's in Nashville. Well, guess who I'm reaching out to? So those are the things. I think it's just you just make that decision. The light goes off and says, you know what, darn it, I need to do this business. And these IPAs, these calls, if you plug in, that you just can't help but get fired up. I mean, how great are these IPAs been the last couple of days? Actually, the last 2 weeks, and then Sarah's training last week when everybody was in Hawaii. I mean, just awesome stuff. I find myself, plugging into this all the time because I'm like, okay, the NFL schedules come out tomorrow. I got to get with it here because I'm kind of dropping the ball. But it's just, I think it's for me personally, it's just about I met some people yesterday, and just every day there's something happens that you can be grateful for. And then Sarah, I think you mentioned as far as trying not to be someone else, be authentic you, and that's so important. I heard Joyce Meyer say one time that don't try to be like someone else. They're already taken. So just be yourself. And even if you and Carmen, you're good at this too. Man, I don't know what that answer is, but let me find out for you. That's being real, and that's what people like. They're gonna buy, or they're gonna partner up with you because of you. Good, bad, or different, but that's life.
Thank you for sharing, Barry. That's awesome.
Maybe I ramble too much.
No, no, you don't ramble at all, actually.
Hi, in this Portico life.
It is. So your story has power, Barry. Everybody on here, all of us, I think this is the biggest thing that we really want to get across. What is the hardest thing that you've gone through? What season almost broke you? What did God teach you? What strength came from it? And how can your testimony, how can your story help others? And I think that's what this is all about. Every Wednesday, I really want to dive in on this kind of stuff, because I really believe this is what creates the posture that we need to win. Because not allowing those stories, like again, what we just kind of talked about, it's happening for us. And what we need to take what happens for us and help others start to come out of, because when you go through, tough times, it can either make you or break you. And we want this to make you, right? So that's what it's all about. So your story is not your shame. Your story is your qualification. And the thing you once cried about may become the very thing that sets someone else free. And what I'll just add on that, sometimes we need to take ourselves out of the equation and think about what when we start to give and become servant leaders, when we give back to other people, that's when I believe that things really click. Like things will, that's when things, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. I'm going to hand it to you, Sarah. You can, I know you got something to say. I can see it.
Well, what I was going to say is your story has power, but it also has value. And someone said in the comment, not seeing a situation as a problem, but as an opportunity. That's 1,000%. Your story is an opportunity. Everyone else's story is an opportunity. And oh man, the value that not only you as a person has on every single other person out there, but we could sit here and we could tell our stories. We could be shameful for what we've had to go through, whether, detrimental, whether it's little things that you might think. But people don't know and they can't relate to you if they don't know your story. And that's where it brings in the value. Because when you start building relationships, whether in business, whether it's friendships, you can't really bridge that gap until you find a relating point, right? I'll use this as an example. Carmen and I are both blondes. That's not a really good gap closer, but it brings value, right? And also God. God brought us close together as well. And that has value. And that relates to our story as well. But one thing to, again, don't forget is your story has power and it has tremendous, tremendous value.
I want to add to that, Sarah. Like Penny is on here also, and she just shared her story on the IPA this morning. I mean, that like what she's been through. Penny, will you mind just kind of hopping in here and just giving us like a very quick version of what you shared this morning, and because that's your why, that's why you're here. And I believe when your why makes you cry, when it's real, like this is authenticity right here. And I believe, like Penny, you bring such a blessing to share. Like, just so I'll just hand it over to you. Go ahead and share just a little bit here about why you're here, Penny.
Um, Carmen dripped on a gentleman named Pete. Pete came to me at a time where I couldn't breathe, I couldn't walk, I could barely talk without oxygen, and I was basically dying. And he was on my table and he said Carmen had told him about the drops, and he didn't want to get back to her because she wanted to get him into the business. And he was sharing that with me. And I said, what about these drops? What are they? And so he told me about it. And right then, right there, my connection to Carmen, which literally saved my life. I didn't know her before in the previous company, but when he talked about it, I knew I wanted to know her now. So I started in the company, and it saved my life because I was stung by a scorpion 7 years ago, and I have a neurotoxin disease and I'm completely disabled. If I don't have Partner Co products, I'm not going to survive. And my doctors validate this and tell me that that's why I'm going to stay alive. And so that's my real story. And I'm just a normal person with a story, but my circumstances were really severe and I needed this. And this is an opportunity. So I take Partner Co. I do this business. I'm passionate about it because I want to live before I die. And now I can. That's it.
Thank you, Penny. So there you go. And here's the thing, you guys. When you hear that, that story is like, that's like if I was brought into Partner Co. and if I didn't reach out to Pete, if I didn't I mean, Pete was, he was a leader of leaders in a previous company I was with. He was my upline. He was the big gun, right? But was I a little bit nervous to reach out to Pete? Yes. But if I didn't reach out to Pete, Penny wouldn't have been introduced maybe to Partner Co. And so, when we think about that, like we are being aligned, God's moving in the background and he is aligning us with the right people for this business. And if we just really let it go and give it to God, for those that, want to do that, you can give it to whoever you like, who you choose. But for me, it's God. And I feel like God's moving and so, he's aligning things as we go, but we've got to do the work. Like we can't just sit back and like money grows on trees, and just wait for it to grow. We've got to do the actions and do the work to get that done, right? So to reach out. So again, it's all about believing in what you have, believing in Partner Co, knowing that it's a safe place to land, and creating your own story. Like not all of us are going to have a story like Penny, but we can also share Penny's story because we see what it's done for Penny. I know for me, my story, my why is like, well, I don't have another source of income. I'm 55 years old. I could go out and get a job, but that's not going to happen. I'm unemployable. Like, I mean, that thing, unless I want to do something that gets me fired up. And what gets me fired up is hearing stories like Penny's. And that to me is like, who else can we bless? Who else? So we're getting close to wrapping this up. So here, yeah, we'll go to this one. Part 3, finding your expertise and calling. So what area of life have you gained wisdom in? What lessons cost you the most? What problem do you feel called what problem do you feel called to solve? And what transformation you experienced? I think
Sorry for the typo.
That's okay. It's all good. Usually it's my me reading.
No, that was all me. That's
Sometimes I can read backwards better than I can forward. So, but faith, health, leadership, motherhood, healing, confidence, mindset, business. People follow people who are real. Authenticity builds trust. Do you want to add to that, Sarah, at all?
Yeah, sure. So it's all digging down into not only being authentic, but building who you are, finding out who you are, relating to others, relaying who you are to others, like Penny did, like Barry did. Tell your story. Don't be afraid because someone out there really, really needs to hear it. And I feel like that's part of our expertise and calling. Whether, we are just, it's easy for us to tell our story. No, it's not going to be easy in the beginning. Again, like I said, if your why isn't making you cry, you need to reevaluate and dig a little bit deeper. You might get choked up talking about your story, and that's 100% a-okay. I don't know about you, Carmen. I when I first started and I dug really deep into my story, I was crying like a baby, and I don't cry. But we're here, we're here, we're placed on this earth for a reason, and we all bring value and we all bring solutions. What we have here is we have Partner Co. That's a huge solution. And I don't know about you, Carmen. I'm very thankful for it.
Absolutely. You know what? So that is where I remember the very first Zoom I got on in my first month in this company. I was asked to share why I joined Partner Co. And I was in tears because I was praying for something. I just didn't know it was going to show up in this package, And so when you start hearing the testimonies as Penny's and thousands of others, I mean, we've got everything we need with this company. So it's really about us. And so this is where part 4, branding you. Branding is not pretending. Branding is clarity. Would someone know? Would someone know what you stand for from your social media? Would they feel hope and inspiration? Your uniqueness is your superpower. And so, with that, this is the types of conversations we're going to be having every Wednesday morning. And so, we're not obviously it's a lot to cover because I mean this is probably the most important part for our business, for our lives, knowing who we are, knowing why we're here, and our identity. For me, I focus on my identity in Christ. It's helped me to know who I am. I'm a daughter of the Most High. So when things happen to me, and I know my calling, and so I know when things get rough, when we go through rough patches in the business, say we've got 6 no's in one day. Well, we'd have to talk to 6 people to get 6 no's, wouldn't we? But that's the thing. It's like we can have rough times for whatever reasons. Life gets in the way. But when we have that strong why within us, That why is going to push us through those tough times. And that's what it's all about. And if we don't go through those tough times, how will we ever help someone else? We will not relate to them. We need to, so that's why when I say things happen, when we say things happen for us, that gives us the strength as we come out of things. It helps us to know and understand somebody else and what they're going through. It helps us to relate to people. So this is a really, I think it's the most important topic or subject that we can work on, is branding ourselves and incorporating this business into our daily lives, because a lot of people have lives already before Partner Co and they're busy. So we want to, I think our goal here, Sarah and I, is when we are talking about branding ourselves and what that would look like, we recognize that that is something that we want to deliver for everybody. We want everyone to be able to figure that out for themselves, and it can change, you guys. We're not here for perfection. We're just here to support each other and to help each other, and to know that each person on here is valued and appreciated, and we want to help you. Part 5. Action step.
There's only 8 parts, I promise.
Does what?
I said there's only 8 parts, so we're good, I promise.
Okay, so I know I said to Sarah this morning, I didn't go through the slides. We made them last week. I go, what? Anyway, so 3 words that describe who you are. 1 thing you want to become known for. 1 area you feel called to grow in. 5 people you could encourage this week.
So those are things that we want you guys to do. You don't have to say them out loud. You don't have to put them in chat, but it's kind of a little bit of homework. Go through these 4 things and dig deep. Think about it. It may take you a couple of hours to answer just 4 questions, but these 4 questions are kind of the backbone, because your voice matters, your story matters, and your life matters. And this helps your voice to be heard by answering these questions, which then formulates your story.
And your why. Your voice matters, your story matters, your life matters. I think this is key. And so because we said we would only be 45 minutes, we're at 9:53. So, and we can go to the next one, but I really want this Zoom to be about to bringing it to, I want us to continue these conversations together. And, obviously we're going to have new people joining or watching because they're at work, they can't be on here. But I really want, to work together on these things. Your voice matters, your story matters, your life matters. Someone is waiting for the version of you that finally stops hiding. And I think that's what I've been getting lately. It's just like, Carmen, you have a lot to say. I know some of you have heard a lot of, some of you get to listen, but I feel like, I've had a lot of life experience myself. I'm 55, I raised 3 kids alone. I've been through a lot of traumas. I broke my back. I still got up and carried on. Like, there's all these things. And financially, I've gone through ups and downs big time. And so with that, I have a lot to share, and I've come through it. And every time, I just know when I got kicked down and knocked down, I chose to get back up. But why? Because I had a strong why. For most of the years, it was for my kids, right? Because I had to get up for them. But what about me? I needed to get up for Carmen as well. And I think that's where I'm at the shift now, where it's like, I need to stand up for me. And so that's kind of where this is all kind of coming from. We are not here to build perfect people. We are here to build confident, aligned, authentic leaders who understand their value and use their story to help others. And I think that is the purpose of this training that we're doing. Sarah?
And I could not agree anymore with all the words that you just said. And people, even leaders, and I'll close with this. People think that other people have to be perfect, even experts, but we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all might say the wrong thing. But in the end, don't forget, that doesn't define who you are. It's okay to be perfectly imperfect. So I will end with that. And Carmen, I actually told you a mistake. I said there was eight parts. There were only 8 slides. So I am sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. I was waiting for the other 3. I was like, oh boy, we better wrap this up.
No, this
I
is
think
it.
the biggest thing, I think, Sarah, thank you for that. And so we just wanted to kind of start this Zoom, this week and kind of, let you know what our goal is here. And, as we move forward, like we don't want to take up a whole bunch of time, but we do want people who are here to take part in answering some of these questions. And let's work together, because if we do this, then we can help others do this. And I think that's what it's all about. So I really want to say thank you to each person that showed up here, and for those that will end up watching this later on the recording. We are happy you're here as well. So we just want to help people really figure out why, who, what, and let's do this together.
And that is it with the Partnership Power Hour. Now, Carmen, we're going to be doing this every Wednesday, right?
That's right.
All right. So, guys, I believe we will see you next Wednesday.
Awesome.
Thank you all, ladies.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And Carmen,
Thank
you will
you.
have to end the call.
Okay.
Thank you guys. That was so beautiful. Thank you. I love you both and appreciate
Aw.
you so much. Thank you.
Love you, Penny.
I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny.
Yeah. Very good, you guys. I got lots to think about.
Awesome, Michelle. Glad you're here.
Are you in Grand Prairie right now?
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking of coming up there.
I'll call you after. I'm gonna end the Zoom. I will talk to you soon.
Okay.
I'll be here for a while.
Okay.
All righty. Bye, guys. Bye, Carmen.
Bye.